Welcome everyone to our Study Abroad podcast series. So, today we have Shubham, who is right now at MIT. So, we'll be knowing about his journey from India to MIT. So, welcome Shubham to our podcast.
Thank you so much, Vishal, for inviting me on this podcast, and really pleased to meet with you and then talk about the things we yeah.
Sure, sure. So Shubham, when was the very first time you thought that maybe something like abroad study or abroad research is something career path you can choose? When was the very first time you got exposed to this kind of knowledge?
I think this is like say for like I did my undergrad in Kanpur, like IT Kanpur. So I used to be involved, like do a lot of research work, like with different professors there. But at that time, I wasn't keen on going abroad or like say doing like say taking research as a profession down the line. But like it's probably I think it might be like in my final year of my undergrad where I was just really like say when I was doing all the research work, I found it really interesting. And then once you read all the publications, all the like state of the work, and then there were like a few superstar like research labs, and most of them were just like say outside in US or Europe. So at that point, I started thinking about okay, like how about if I want to go and do some further research, then like say maybe going for a master's or a PhD. At that time, I started taking it a bit seriously about this, and then yeah, that's probably I'll say like the final year of my undergrad. I started to shape up. Okay, maybe I should go out and then get like a higher degree from probably like say from US or Europe.
So you were doing some research papers, probably your CGPA was also on the good side or something,
Yes,
which
yes,
added to
yeah,
your
yeah,
confidence. So how was your studies like in IIT? Like how were you as a student?
yes. I think like the biggest role I'll say like a couple of PIs like professors in Kanpur they played a really big role in shaping up like say thought process about research or like so when I was like say working with one professor in my, like say especially in my final year we were trying out some like say some theoretical models on like say really like it doesn't need to like it was like really specific to say like some photovoltaic device related research work, and then I was doing some theory as well as experimental work, and then the doing the work was really satisfying, or like it was really interesting apart from just like say the typical like coursework we do, the projects we take during those like the classes, like say, all these classes. So it's just like I think the research part of the work was way more interesting, and like say it made me much more interested towards research as per se, like rather than the courses. Because like with courses you become a good engineer, but to become a like say have a mindset of a scientist or a researcher, it just really comes through when you actually do hands-on research work. So it really shaped the thought process and everything in the final years of my
Did you
undergrad life.
also think that, after IIT, I should maybe go to MIT only, otherwise I am not justifying my degree?
Oh, not at all. Oh, not at all. Like this was like I think like my story is a bit weird and different from like say like the traditional path which people take. Like it's like I really like say like typically if you take like any IT they go for like say some like say US or foreign interns in the third years, probably in the fourth years as well, and then they switch like they really get like offers from like for grad school right out of the college. So I stayed in the campus on the campus doing research, did not go out at all during those 4 years of my like undergrad there. I worked at Intel for a year as well, so I was not really sure what I really wanted to. I had some interest, but I wasn't sure what I want to do. And then by the time you realize, okay, you want to do research, it's about research rather than university names or like where you want to work at. And the other aspect of, I think, especially for PhDs, it's the lab, it's the research group, which matters way more than the university name. So you always want to work with a PI who is doing really great, or like at least their work interests you way more than anything else. Because like even here, like it's been almost 5.5 years for me here in MIT. It's like you interact with a few groups a bit more, you collaborate, you work on interesting problems, but that is it. Like you are not like say is it like your world becomes really narrow in terms of like your research, it's your projects, then it's the lab where you are working with many more colleagues, and then it's the collaborators you work with, and that is it. Like it's not about the broader university community as per se. So
Sure, sure. So when you were applying to
yeah.
MIT, did you also apply to few more colleges as a backup plan, like five, six, 10 colleges? How many colleges
Yes.
did you apply
Oh
to that
yeah.
time?
Yes. Yeah, I applied to a lot actually. I think it was close to like say, I think the good number is around 10. Like this is something like I don't know where we got this number. Like whenever, like it's like when we try to apply, you talk to your friends, you talk to your seniors, and everyone per se tells you that okay, maybe a 10 is a good number to apply to. But one of my advisor, like I think when I was working, like collaborating with one professor in ISC Bangalore, and then he recommended that you should apply to as many places as you can because this is the only time you are going to apply for grad school. You are never going to apply to grad school ever again, which is pretty much true. Like, I like you don't really need to apply. Like, if you get it, you get it. And then so probably I think I applied to like eventually the number was still the same around like say 10 or 11. I don't know the exact number, but it was coming from the information that you were looking for the right research groups. What like say kind of research interests you? Where are these people? What universities these are? Like I applied to schools which were like say outside top 100 universities as well, just because the group I wanted to apply to, they were the best at what they were doing. So it's like my application was all over the place from say like top university to the top outside top 100 universities. It was more about the research. And then, yeah, universities did not matter. And the number was, it was more coming from the information of like, say, what interests were rather than sticking to a some like rule of thumb number kind of a thing. So yeah, like it's good to apply to as many places as possible because you really not don't know where you will get into because like it's a factor of a lot of things from say your profile to the funding the research group has to maybe the admission committee, your competitors. Someone might have an exact similar profile to yours, and they just want one person like that. So it can be all over the place. So it becomes really tricky to really, like, say, have a small pool of applications and then hope you get it. So it's like a lottery or a
Yes.
luck-based thing.
So you would have got a few offers from these 10, 11 colleges. How did you pin down that MIT was obvious choice, like the lab wise or the professor wise, the ranking wise? What
Yes.
was the
Yeah.
reason you chose
I
the
think,
MIT?
yeah. Uh-huh. Yes, yeah, yeah. No, I think it was like I had like a really good offers, like few other, like say, top five schools as well. And then what ended up contributing the most was the research I would get to do like at these places. And I think like I joined Reglina Sarkar's group. Like she's like a like I think it's like I'm the first student in the lab. So it's like the lab was just starting. I had a really long conversations with the PI. We talked about what kind of work she's interested in, what kind of things I want to do. And then like the kind of projects we came up with were really interesting or like they were really impactful. So that's why like with this thing really trumped the other like say places I was considering. Like most of the places when I was considering, like a couple of them were like say really senior PIs who had done like great work. And then but like the thing is like it's like the kind of diversity or the interdisciplinary kind of work I was more interested in. Probably that was not the case with other groups. So I ended up inclining towards like coming to MIT and then doing the kind of work I get to do here. So
So sure. You changed your major, or it was more like you were already doing that interdisciplinary research and then it was like part of that?
and no, 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 no. So I'm like a electrical engineer by training. Like say undergrad was like say device physics, like say electronics and communication. Like say in Kanpur we just have one branch, so it's just electrical engineering. So I was more focused on the device physics, trying to understand how semiconductor devices work. Did a bit of theoretical work on that, some like computational as well as some experimental work. But when I was like when I came over here at MIT, the kind of work like the group's focus was more on biomedical applications, trying to build new kind of novel devices which can have like interesting applications. And that's where like the like it was a really steep learning curve in the sense I had like no formal like training as well. Like it's like I never had even taken any courses. So it's like came over here, spent a lot of time taking courses, reading a lot of literature to understand what like it's like even the most basic, like say, things you need to really understand or go like learn from scratch. So it was like a really steep learning curve for at least like I feel like even now it's the same. Like whenever we are doing some new experiments, like maybe one of the like just say it's like okay, I work on say Alzheimer's disease, like and with the devices I've been developing in the lab. I have some magic, some understanding of how the devices work, but when it comes to like these disease models, I am still learning. Like it's every day whenever we do some new experiments, whatever we are looking at, we have some new interesting observations. We have like at least I have to go back to the literature to understand what's going on because I don't really understand most of it. But that's how research is supposed to be. You are into the unknown, you are trying to learn, understand, and then make your hypothesis correct by designing smart, nice experiments to see whether you are really understanding the science behind it. So it's been just a learning curve for the past 4 5 years at the least.
So when you came to MIT, you felt that you are doing your bachelor's again, like a faster version.
Oh, yes, yes, definitely. Except there were no coursework, but there were experimental evidence. So you don't wait for a semester to realize that you are not doing good or what, but you get you get to like the feedback cycle is really fast, it's really intense. So you try to read papers every day, you try to implement or like say, design new experiments, and things don't work. You get to do this every day, other day, and years of failures, then you realize, okay, maybe that one day when you make some interesting observations and which are actually correct, then you know, okay, finally you made some progress. So it's a really intense, interesting way of doing science.
So
But
in
yeah, it's
IITs,
been really fun.
so in IITs,
Yeah.
usually what happens is people study like alternate months, right? Because alternate months are exams, and the other alternate month is more of a
Yes.
ease. Here it may be like alternate day. Every
Yes.
alternate day you have to learn something.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's just like the pace becomes so different. I think it's a while just to get adjusted to this kind of research, or like say, I think like PhD life is anyway like really different from an undergrad life. And then on top of it, doing this kind of research, it just like it takes a lot of learning and unlearning to get to that stage where you can do actually some useful science. So but yeah, it's been totally like worth doing the kind of things I wanted to do.
Sure, sure. So you had to probably write some tests like GRE, TOEFL, or something IELTS that time to apply for it. What were the tests you wrote?
Yeah, I think like it used to be GRE and TOEFL. I think these were like at least during when I applied in 2019. This was the case where you have to like give GRE as well as TOEFL because almost every school does this. Like it's like it's not a like the selection criteria, but it's like a elimination criteria that you need to have this much score, and they will look at your application afterwards. So you have to give these tests, but I'm not sure whether at least TOEFL, maybe it's compulsory or not anymore, but I'm like just not up to date with
Yeah, yeah,
the
some
current
colleges,
syllabus.
who have English as a medium, I think they are waiving if
Uh-huh.
there is
I
enough.
see. I
I think
see.
after COVID, things changed slightly because a lot
Yes.
of
Yeah. Yeah.
study abroad thing got up and down,
Yes. Yeah.
ups and
Yes. I think that yeah, COVID changed a lot of things. So yes, definitely, I can imagine that would have happened. But yeah,
sure, sure, sure. So this was your very first trip to US or like abroad, India abroad, or you have been anywhere
yes,
before
it
that?
was my first time. No, I have not. Like this was the first time when I was applying or like say even like say considering going outside India to like for studies or for even anything like that. It was always through and throughout in India before that.
Sure, sure. And this MS of yours was fully funded initially, or it was like partially funded and then later got
Yes.
fully funded?
No, no. So actually, like I'm in Media Lab. So the nice thing about Media Lab is whatever student they take in, everyone is fully funded. So it's like you join as a like forum, like you cannot start as a PhD student directly. It's like the kind of work Media Lab like encourages to do. Like it's expected that no one will have this kind of an expertise, like this transdisciplinary like expertise in subject matters. So they always like admit students as a master's student, even if you are applying for a PhD, it does not matter. The nice thing is, since they understand this, they fund the master's program as well. So it's like your stay, your education, everything is fully funded through your masters as well as PhDs. Because like usually like other departments, usually PhDs are more like always funded, but not the masters. But here everything is funded, and then you take a few courses, but the emphasis is more on the research side, where like it's not like a traditional masters where it's course heavy on like you have to take like 10, 12 courses in a couple of years, but here I think it's just like say, 4 or 5 courses, and then you focus most of your time on research. So like it's a different like way of doing things here.
Yeah, yeah. So during your masters, does MIT or your lab offer this upgradation option that you can upgrade to PhD without finishing your masters, or it was like one after the other?
No, so it's one after the other. So it's like they expect you to finish your masters, and then it's an internal application process where it's just like a formality. As long as like the lab you want to apply to, like as long as they are okay with taking you in as a PhD student, it's just a formality. It's just like a documentation, and you just get in internally. So it's a really straightforward process. It's just like the main problem, like say the major hurdle is at the master's level rather than the PhD level.
Sure, sure. So during your master's application, you would have got two, three recommendation letters also. Was those three
Yes.
good relations okay for you, or you had to struggle sometimes to choose which one to
No,
take the recommendation from?
I no, actually it turned out to be really pleasant for me. Like I worked with a couple of professors in like when I was like say doing my undergrad. So I like did a decent job there. Like I was able to publish like a couple of papers as well while I was doing the research. And then while I was working, say at Intel for like a year when I wasn't sure I want to go abroad or not, or whether I want to do my PhD or not. At that time, I was collaborating with one professor at from IIC Bangalore, and then we were able to do some really interesting work at that time as well. And then he was kind enough to like say write me a recommendation letter as well. So it's like getting the recommendation letters was an easy thing, and I'm fairly sure like it was like say if you're able to publish something as an undergrad in India, it's considered really good because like we usually at least in IITs the culture is still not of doing a lot of research and publication. Of course, people do a lot of research, but publication is not easy. So if you have a couple of publications, it becomes really easy to like apply it and get into like really good schools.
Sure, sure. And when you do this PhD application after your masters, do you still need to do formal applications with two, three recommendation letters and things like that, or it's all internally set?
It's like they call it like a they have a option, but you can really upload the same material as you did like a couple of years ago, and then the recommenders is just like the lab you want to apply to. So the PI they write you a recommendation letter, and then you need one more recommendation letter from whoever you want. It can be your like say like advisors from your during your time at like the masters, undergrad, or even if you're some collaborators. So it can be anything. But the thing is like it's like if you're applying to one group, the group PI they are writing the recommendation letter. So if they want you in, and the group decides who they want as a PhD. So as long as like you and the PI are on board, it's just a formality.
Pretty much the person who is writing the recommendation is the person who is
They are
accepting the
reading.
recommendation also.
Yes, yes, exactly. It's just like yeah, it's like there is of course like a committee of like this, I don't know, like 3 or 5 professors, but that PI is also part of the committee. So it's just like
And
really,
the stipend and all is coming from probably your supervisor's funding only. So and it's all
yes,
like pretty much a formality kind of thing. But okay, you're continuing in the
exactly,
same lab, so why not? Like just let's do
exactly,
the formality and let's get it done. Sure, sure. So you
exactly.
are coming the first
Yeah.
time to US. What were the
Mhm.
initial differences that you see in the education system, in the way people live? What were the initial shocks,
I
surprises
think,
for the first few
yeah,
months?
I think, yeah, yeah, I think like the biggest shock which comes for like maybe as an Indian student or like say coming from like an Indian culture, it's like the culture shock is the first thing, and then when you're like say living alone or like so I'll say like you don't have this like you have to take care of yourself, and like that's the first thing which comes. Like we as like maybe as an Indian student or like as a like a person coming from India, we are like highly privileged or like so we are really well taken after, like say, even in our families when we are at home or like say, even let's say when we are in hostels in like in our undergrad college, everything is taken care of for you, like say from food to laundry to I don't know, like say like probably these are the major things. And then if you need help or anything else, like when I was working in Bangalore, we had like say cook, maid, like it's like all the tiny things which we have to rely on, everything was taken care of by someone. We have so many services we can avail there easily. The same things are here as well. It's just like they're so expensive that you cannot afford any of this. So now you have to learn to take care of yourself. And like especially let's say like when the COVID happened, I was here in US. Like I was still like say, going to the university, doing my research, but you literally cannot, like the thing is you are not even meeting people, so it's like you are in your house doing things. Like if you want to like say, even like ordering things was difficult, so it's like you have to make like cook, you have to clean after, you have to do everything by yourself. And there are like say it takes quite a bit of a learning to do all of it. I never learned to cook before coming to US, and I was even getting away by like say just ordering food or going to like say like those like there are like say I think there is like a student center where you can get all those like say food trucks and all those things. You can like say get away with all the meals you want. But when the COVID came, almost everything shut down. So you have to really learn to cook it at that time. So it became like a thing like when you are learning life skills and everything at that time. So you'll start appreciating all the things you were taking things for granted. But yeah, I think this is more like the bigger culture shock is on this front. But when it comes to let's say academics, I feel like it's similar. It's not that different because it's just like I know like saying whenever the classes I was taking, even like the grad level courses I took in Kanpur, like we follow the same textbooks, we have similar assignments, except probably I'll say like here the assignments are taken way more seriously compared to like say back in India. But the grade inflation is so high here that like if you don't do great on your assignments, you still get good grades compared to like say like the competition was so high there. Like if you like mess up with one of your quizzes, one of your midterms, your grades are gone. So it's like in terms of academics, it's similar. And let's say many people find it easy as well, like compared to like say depending on where they were or which department they were in. But it's like I'll say like academic wise, it's easy to adjust or you will get by really easily. But the other aspect of the life which is equally important, and it's just a learning thing altogether where you're like really like learning all the skills which maybe we should have like learned when we were growing up. But yeah, so
Sure, sure.
it's different. Yeah,
So,
yeah.
initial few assignments when you got like initial few classes, was that a bit
Mhm.
hard for you to do? And like maybe like in your undergraduate days, there is like a group of people helping each other, and here maybe everyone became more
Yes.
individualistic and things like that. Did you see that
Yes.
transition
No,
of
yeah,
selfishness?
yeah. Actually, I'll say no. Actually, it was like opposite for me here, though, because here the collaboration is highly like it's way more encouraged. Like where let's say like when there were assignments, we will like say discuss things in groups. We'll get to know what are the problems, and then we'll just discuss among ourselves, and then we go and like tackle those assignment problems. But back in like maybe like in Kanpur, it was more or less say the opposite way, where most of the people like either are relying on you or they don't want to work with you. So it's like you're like really left alone on your own to do things. So I found it the opposite, where like it took a while to like get adjusted to the like say the level which is expected from you like in terms of like academics. But over time you get used to it, and then it became like it turned out it was in my favor in a way that I was doing most of the things on my own, like just really working alone. And then once you come over here, you are working in collaboration in groups, it just becomes easier because now you don't have to really get to know everything. So it's like you have people you can rely on, and then you discuss, and then it becomes much more easier after.
Sure, sure, sure. And did you
Yeah.
also try any part-time job or internships in your last few years as of now?
Actually not. Like the thing is like as a student on F1 visa, like you can technically work, I think it's like 20 years. But the thing is, since you are funded, so like you're funded through like either RA shape or TA shape. So you cannot work more than that anyway. And then like the nature of the work is like say when you do like I'm more like an experimental research, like my research is more around the experiment. So it's a lot intensive. So you really don't get enough time to do anything apart from that. And yeah, I think like when you say about the internship, I have not gone for any internships yet. It's just like I think like I wanted to like it depends on the project, on the groups as well. So I had some interesting projects going on, and where you have to take a call whether you want to focus more on the research side versus whether you want to go out and then explore like different kind of works, like say field or work environment. So I just chose to stay back and then invest more time in research. So yeah.
Sure, sure. Did some juniors of yours approach you that please can you help with the assignment or something?
Oh, not for assignments yet. Like that's like something which is actually really nice because that used to happen back in India a lot. Like where people will just ask you for your assignments, for exams, like question papers, answers. Like that used to happen a lot there. But I have not seen anything. And like no one has really approached or done anything there as such. But yeah, but people do approach a lot for the applications when like say when it's like now the peak period is gone, but like say like from let's say October till December, like many people approach, and then yeah, it's just nice where you can like help those people out, and then like hopefully they get into nice places. So
Sure, sure. So, Shubham, in IITs, there is like this lot of people get a department which probably they never like or they never wanted, and they just get because they got a rank. And now they can be divided into two groups: one who hated their department and then changed their department and things like that through job or MBA or something.
yes,
Then there is
yeah.
another group who actually accidentally fall in love with the department also. Which category
I
do
see.
you fall into?
Okay. I think it is funny though, like the thing is, like currently the kind of work I do, it's no longer what my like it's still like as it's still partly I can still call myself an electrical engineer. But I'll say like I yeah, it was definitely one of those instances where like when you're taking up a department or like choosing a branch, like after the JEE exam, you don't really know a lot. And like I had no idea about which branch is the best or like which I should go for. It's just like I feel like I'm one of those guys who got lucky in terms of like like I kept on taking like so the thing is like in Kanpur the nice thing is we have this branch like which is just electrical engineering. So traditionally typically you will find like it electrical engineering is divided into two different branches, and then people are either in one of those branches, and then you are restricted by the courses you can take. So in Kanpur, like the nice thing was it's just one branch. So once you are there, you can at least choose whatever courses you want in the branch. And then on top of it, the nice thing with Kanpur's curriculum was like you can get like many more open electives, which is like so you can just go and take courses from different branches. And I think there's like the number of open electives they offer is probably the most among IITs. I'm not really sure, but there were like a lot of open electives you can take. But I think I just like I started with taking courses from all over the place in electrical engineering, and then just whatever I did not like, I started to drop those things every semester and then kept on taking courses in whatever was more interesting. And then by the time I was about to graduate, I realized I pretty much maybe taken all the, let's say, engine like the courses offered in device physics at Kanpur, be it like a grad level course, be an undergrad level. I took all the courses, and then I not even taken an open elective, like even those were getting substituted by my electrical engineering courses. So it's like I just found it whatever, like when I was just going through it, it's just like the teachers were really nice, the professors they taught it really nicely, or like the interest kept on growing over time again and again. And even here, it's like I tried to take courses from like other departments, but it's just like this core electrical engineering part is still there, where I'm just still like making new kinds of devices that are still like coming from this perspective of an electrical engineer and then looking into different applications.
Sure. After you finished your masters, your love for the research still stayed. It never died. So you took PhD, right?
Mhm. Yeah. I think PhD was always on the cards. Like it's just like once I started, like say I decided, okay, I want to go for higher education. It was like I never thought of a master's as a master's. It was always like looking from like say the bigger projects or like say the broader like a bigger picture that okay, I want to do something like I want to build technologies or something like this. So instead of focusing on the like say the master's project or like say the PhD project, it was like always like the bigger project perspective, and then I've been just working towards that rather than thinking of okay maybe I can stop at at master's level. But yeah, like it's like I still find it interesting. So I'm like research is fun. It's disappointing every other day, but it's fun at the same time. So I
You
like
like the roller coaster ride of this whole
yes,
ups and downs.
yeah, it's amazing.
You're used to
I
the
don't
uncertainty now.
yes, absolutely.
Sure, sure. So, coming to the last questions now, what advice would you give to younger yourself? So, people who are maybe studying at IIT or other undergraduate student who are thinking about a PhD career or a research career,
I see,
what advice
I
would
see.
you like to give, like from your side, which probably you think you knew, they don't know maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'll say I'm just like the thing is like what I have seen among like even my friends, like many of those people, I think they have already like many of them have already graduated, done with their PhD, some of them are finishing up. So it's like many of my friends I saw like they really followed a fixed template. Like it's like some people have a really good clarity, even probably before they start the undergrad, that they want to do a PhD or like say they want to do research. So people really follow a template of like say doing research in like the first or second years in Kanpur, like in like say in your undergrad, and then you go for like a internship, like a research internship in the third year, and then by the fourth year you apply for like say different like say like for like the masters or PhDs. And I've seen this happen across many most of my friends did this. I followed a bit of an untraditional path, but the thing is the end results is the same, where all of us ended up getting into good schools, doing interesting, nice research, and then we are pretty much happy with the kind of work we do. So the thing is like people don't really need to follow any path or anything. As long as you do something which interests you and keeps you motivated, I think you will find your way throughout. I'm like, of course, there are like say some less risk averse situations where like this is why this template exists because this is like a really tried and tested way of doing things. But if it doesn't interest you, if it doesn't suit you, or if you are off it for some reason, it does not matter. You will end up on the right path, on the right trajectory, as long as you know what you are interested in or you want to pursue. Like it's just like I feel like there is no fixed way of doing things. So as long as you do things, things will happen for you. So it's always like a this like an engineering mentality or like a doer mentality where you just like do something, take action, and then you will see things will fall in place for you.
Yeah, it's pretty much like, solving a maze. You just go, go,
Yeah,
go, and then you'll find an exit ultimately,
exactly.
anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And like there is no fixed like there's not just one solution. There are so many infinite solutions. Like of course there can be some which are really smooth. Some of them can be a bit long, tiresome, but it doesn't matter as long as you stay on the path. you will find the way out.
Sure, sure. Any recommendation for usage of LinkedIn for the youngsters?
The only thing I can think of is like say reaching out to people to know, like the thing is like if you are asking people like say maybe a year or two ahead of yourself, they will also be confused. They will not know the full picture. So it's like if you're in your let's say college, if you're in your let's say third year or fourth year, like third years they will have access to fourth years at the least in the college, and then many more people like just leave after that. So it's like the thing is if you're just talking to people who are just a year or two ahead of you, it's not a wise strategy. Like you don't really need to believe everything because those people also don't know what's going on. So it's like talking to people who are like much senior to you, or like who are in those positions where you want to be, reaching to them. Like I feel like LinkedIn is a really good place to do that because I talk to a lot of people. Like say, I talk to a lot of like say professors before when I was like say applying to grad school. I talked to them when I had to take some decisions on like say okay, what are the pros and cons of like say going like doing this kind of a research, or like say okay, this interests me, but there are like say two different groups who do this kind of work. So it's like I'll not understand the nuances. My friends, like maybe a year or two senior, will not know this, but the people who are already doing those kind of things, they will know this. So it's like the network is always like as long as you can leverage your network and then reach out to them. So I think LinkedIn really helped in that part of it, where like I was able to actually talk to people, and then people are always nice enough that they'll just always have like 15, 20 minutes to talk to you, and then you will get a much more refined, rich answer from them compared to like if you're talking to like maybe your colleagues or let's say peers. So it
Sure, sure.
really helps.
Thank you very much, Shubham, for your time and sharing your experiences and
Mhm.
recommendations to us. And we hope our audience would have learned something. So take care. Have a good day. We'll be in touch.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye bye.